So, how do you take a 25-year career with all its twists and turns and make it into a story that actually makes sense? Well, today, we're going to do just that. We're breaking down a real professional journey to see the growth, the big strategic moves, and the leadership that emerged along the way. Okay, let's dive right in. We're kicking things off with this really powerful summary. This isn't just some list of skills on a resume. Think of it more like the mission statement for an entire career. It really sets the stage, telling us right away that this is a story about being versatile and making an impact in a whole bunch of different fields.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We're going to start at the beginning with those foundational years. Then we'll look at a really critical pivot into the world of tech, watch an entrepreneurial adventure unfold, and finally, see how all of that experience comes together to lead digital transformation today. It's quite a ride.
Every great story has to have a strong first act. And for this career, that's exactly what these first 16 years were all about. This was the time for building the bedrock, really digging in and mastering the fundamentals of sales, of management, and of strategy in some pretty major, well-established industries. And what's really interesting here is just how diverse this foundation is. We're going from pharmaceuticals to insurance, all the way to telecom. And this wasn't random, not at all. This was a very deliberate process of building a super solid, industry-proof foundation in sales and leadership, skills that would become absolutely crucial down the line. And here we go. This is the turning point. After 16 years, the whole story takes a sharp turn. And we're not just talking about a simple job change here. This was a massive strategic pivot away from traditional industries and straight into technology, a move that completely redefined the rest of his career. This right here, this lays it all out, plain and simple. On the left, you've got those foundational industries we just talked about. And on the right, a huge leap into the digital world of IT, software, and e-governance. It brings up a really important question, one a lot of us face. How do you take all those skills you've worked so hard to build and apply them to a completely new field? So how'd he do it? By jumping right into the deep end and tackling these complex, modern challenges. See, this wasn't about starting from scratch. It was about translating his skills. Leading a software implementation, designing outsourcing processes, even digitizing land records. These projects show a leader taking those core principles of sales and management and using them to solve brand new problems. Okay, so the foundation was built, the skills were adapted to a new landscape, and now the story hits its climax. This is that high-risk, high-reward moment, the decision to stop climbing the corporate ladder and just build a new one from the ground up. I mean, think about it. What does it really take? It's way more than just having a good idea or some technical skills. It takes vision, it takes resilience, and it definitely takes the leadership to get a team excited and rallying around your idea. Let's see how it all played out. And the answer to that question? It was this: Flash Deal e-commerce. And not just as an employee, but as the founder and CEO. I mean, this role is the ultimate test of every single skill you've learned up to that point. You have to take complete ownership of the strategy, the operations, and the ultimate success, or failure. And the business model itself was really smart. Instead of trying to go head-to-head with the national giants, the entire focus was on a hyper-local strategy. This carved out a very specific niche in what was already a crowded e-commerce market. And it really shows a sharp ability to see and serve a need in the community that others were missing. And you know what? The big bet paid off. Getting recognition from NOSCOM, that's India's top tech industry body, is a huge deal. It's that external proof that the strategy wasn't just working, but that they had built a genuinely successful high-growth company. So, after that intense entrepreneurial journey, we enter the final act of our story. This is where all that cumulative wisdom, from the sales foundation to the tech pivot to the startup leadership, it all gets synthesized and put to use at a really high executive level. And you can see how all those different experiences start paying dividends in these recent roles. It's a string of vice president and advisory positions in totally different fields: consulting, tech, even edutech. It just goes to show that the skills he's built over 25 years are now guiding strategy at the highest levels. And if you want a perfect snapshot of his method, just look at this process at MXL. It's a super clear four-step approach. First, you build the team from scratch. Then, you launch the go-to-market strategy. Third, you execute on the nitty-gritty details. And finally, you drive efficiency through digital transformation. It's almost like a mini version of his entire career, structure, strategy, and execution. So, after this whole 25-year evolution, what's in the final toolkit? We're not just talking about a list of skills here. We're talking about a complete set of abilities that have been battle-tested across multiple industries and some pretty tough challenges. And when you look at it all laid out like this, you can see how the pieces just fit together perfectly. You've got this awesome mix of big picture strategy and marketing, but it's balanced with the hands-on leadership needed for team development and the operational know-how for client management. Each piece makes the others stronger.
But here's the thing, and this is so important. A modern leader's toolkit is never actually finished, and the commitment to staying sharp is crucial. Seeing certifications in things like AWS, data science, and cybersecurity, that tells you this is a leader who isn't just coasting on 25 years of experience. He's actively learning the tools of tomorrow.
And that kind of brings us to our final thought here. When you look back at this whole journey, from pharma to tech startups to digital leadership, it really makes you wonder, in a world that's always changing, what's the one skill that's truly timeless? Maybe, just maybe, it's not a specific skill at all, but that relentless ability to adapt, to learn, and to keep evolving.